Hello everyone, welcome to the Jewish Week Online. We're here at the Jewish Funk Team. We had the opportunity to sit down with Matisyahu to talk to him about his music in Lamplighters Yeshiva, a school that he founded in Crown Heights. Let's take a closer look. How did you get into the business? And I know you just came out with a new album. Talk a little bit about your journey.
I just put out a new record. It's called Live at Stubbs Volume 2. And it's relevant in terms of your question because Live at Stubbs Volume 1 was the first record I did, and you asked how I kind of got into the music business, so into the music. And I always loved music. I was always into it, and I played in bands and in open mics, coffee shops, and bars, and all that kind of stuff. And when I was in college, I started to become religious, and I went to Crown Heights to yeshiva there to study Torah, and I stopped listening to music, divorced myself pretty much from a secular culture, from movies, and I just spent my day learning Torah basically in the school. And then I think I performed one day at a Shabbos table. I was just beatboxing. The reaction was good, and I'd sort of forgotten a little bit about that side of myself, although I always had this burning dream to make music.
Everyone has their passions, and your music has inspired countless individuals, and passion comes in different ways, and you created a unique yeshiva in your hometown. Talk a little bit about why you did what you did.
I live in Crown Heights in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up in White Plains, New York. I come from a more secular background. I went to public school, and I'm just giving you a little background, so you know. I went to public school, and then I went to Hebrew school a few times a week. And school for me was always it was a difficult thing. But I felt that educationally, in terms of the intellectually, I didn't really get turned on to learning and to growth until I was already finished with my whole schooling process. That's, including college. And I just had, being that was my experience, I had a certain fear for my kids, and that if the education I want them to get to inspire them, that it should be an inspirational education, and it shouldn't be about closing down, but opening things up, And we met a wonderful woman in Crown Heights who's from Crown Heights, knows the community and the customs of the community very well, and has also worked in programming and education for several years, and done a lot of work with Emilio Reggio, Montessori, a lot of very progressive styles of education. And I was very impressed by her and her ideas about education. And myself and a few families in the neighborhood decided we wanted to try something new and try basically a progressive education with a certain strength in Chassidishkeit, in Judaism. In Judaism, and in particularly, in the community we live in, the Lubavitch community that we live, the spirit and the things about it that we really feel are inspirational. We try to bring that really into the classroom as well. So that sort of separates it.
It's very interesting to understand that there's every kid learns differently, and some kids. It might be more difficult to learn certain Jewish topics, and having sort of ways for children to connect to Judaism is an important aspect in development. What has been some of your inspirations in your own studies?
Well, like you said, I think children's brains and people in general all sort of work in different ways and are inspired by different things. And to me, the key thing is to go with that inspiration. So if a kid is interested, like my son, in snails, because I had him on tour one time and we were in Seattle and it rained, and in Seattle, after it rains in the summer on the street, it's covered with snails and slugs, and he got very into that. So he went back this year, and he's into slugs. And when he found a slug, and put it in a bug catcher, and then they, did a whole lesson on science, and they tied that into days of the creation when bugs were created, and so it's a very holistic education and bringing all those different elements together. But the main thing is really allowing the child to go in the direction that they want to go. So if a kid, this year, let's say one of the goals is, the kids should learn how to read. If a kid doesn't enjoy sitting in front of a book and reading, then the mission is to find a way, to get the kid inspired to read on his own. And maybe it's just not time. And then maybe 6 months into the year, he picks it up, loves it, and then goes twice as fast as if he would have been doing it the whole time, if he had been forced into doing it. And that type of education, being forced into something, we just feel is not really productive. So for me, education has always been really about that, allowing myself to get into it, to wherever I am. So for example, my whole life I didn't really care much about geography. But after I started traveling and being on tour and going to different cities in the U.S., across the world and stuff, I became very much interested in that, and learning that in a very, where the world is your classroom type of environment. Or I became interested in Judaism. I became very interested in history when I became interested in who I am, my identity, and as a Jew, and what that means going back. And that's what got me extremely interested in the history, history of the Jewish people. So again, I think it's like every person has to come to things, be introduced to things, inspired, opened up, but come to things on their own, in their own way.
And you're having an event coming up. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the event that we're doing is a fundraiser for the school. It's going to be the second year next year of the school. We want to expand it and do an older class as well, and keep building it every year. So it's a fundraiser, it's a concert, it's an acoustic concert, it's a Q&A, so I get to have some fun with the audience and joke around and hopefully not make a fool of myself, and maybe even say something that someone will be inspired by. But yeah, it's very intimate. We're going to play all of our songs and do some improvisation, and it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, it's at Symphony Space.
Symphony Space, June 15th.
And it's such an, when you're planning an event, you never know kind of what will come up. But with a musical performance, and you said the Q&A, it brings sort of a lot of different aspects about community to life and helps enhance our Jewish community. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And good luck.
As you can see, Matisyahu is truly inspiring and transforming our Jewish community. This is Aaron Herman, and thank you for watching.